Hey there, this is Karcher Makes. I'm Andrea, and today we are celebrating 1,000 subscribers. So grab your knitting, grab a beverage, and let's knit and chat. So this episode's going to be a little different than my normal episodes. This is going to be a knit and chat. So hopefully you've got your project, you got some beverage. I happen to have, look, just keeping it real, y'all. I have a Smirnoff Ice Smash. These are delicious. In the words of Chevy Rell, grab yo drink and let's just get into it. So I wanted to do something special for the 1,000 subscriber celebration. Yay! Thank y'all so much for being here. If you subscribe, please know I appreciate that so much. Just thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming back week after week and watching me talk about all of this. Knitting, spinning, weaving, crochet, sewing, quilting, whatever crafty thing spikes my interest in that moment. It's almost always knitting though, let's be honest. So at the end of the video, we're gonna have a giveaway. So make sure you watch, make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe and like this video. I'll give you more details on that later. But let's get into these questions that everyone submitted. Y'all submitted some good questions. So I have them over here on my laptop, so I'm gonna be looking over there. But they're kind of all over the place. There's questions about just my experience with knitting, with crochet, with spinning, with weaving. Questions just about the channel here, why I started it. Some questions about travel knitting, which I'm really excited to talk about. And then some questions that have nothing to do with crafting, which I thought were really interesting. So we're going to talk about that and we're going to get into it. So the questions aren't in any sort of particular order, but I'm going to try to keep them on theme with one another and try to group them together. So first question, what made you start a YouTube channel? So many people have asked me this, and my answer has really varied as time has gone on. And so let me back up. I originally started this channel in 2022. I went to the Maryland Alpaca Festival, which is held at the Howard County Fairgrounds in West Friendship, Maryland. And I just made a little video, no talking over it, just I compiled the footage from the festival and I put it up on YouTube, and I think maybe 3 people watched it. So that was in 2022. And then in 2023, I was on my way to Frederick Fiber Fest, and I had 0 plans to do anything YouTube related at that time. Like, I've always sort of toyed with the idea, but I was never really serious about it. But something struck me that morning. I'm sitting in my car with my coffee and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a vlog and I'm going to actually come on camera and talk and just talk about Frederick Fiber Fest and my experience with it. So I did that and I really enjoyed it, and I was really shocked. I was really surprised that, there were other people interested in watching that video. Now, it's not like it went viral or anything, right? But far more people watched that video than I anticipated, and I got a few subscribers from it. So I thought to myself, okay, this is cool. I like this. This will give me a place to talk about all of these crafty things that I like to do with people who actually are interested in hearing about it. So it just kind of went from there, and it really is a completely separate hobby from knitting, spinning, weaving, whatever, right? It's a completely different skill set. It's a lot of technical stuff that I'm generally okay with technology, but making videos and editing videos and the lighting and the sound, I mean, if you've been here for any given amount of time, you've kind of seen that evolve, right, over the year and a half that I've been doing this. Hopefully it's getting better, but it really is a completely different skill set and a different hobby, and I've really enjoyed learning about it. So ultimately, the answer to the question, what made me start a YouTube channel, it was really just sharing my love of knitting and yarny things and other crafty things with other like-minded people, and building a community around it, and just making friends who have similar interests. Really, that's kind of the true reason why I wanted to do this. Okay, next question. What is the meaning of Karcher Makes, since your name is Andrea? And I also have gotten this question a lot. So yes, my name is Andrea. Karcher is my surname, my last name. And when I originally started my Instagram account, my username was Karcher70. 7 is my favorite number, and 7 wasn't available, so I added a 0 on the end of it. And over time, I realized that Instagram handles that have numbers in them look very sort of scammy and bawdy, so I wanted to change it to more reflect my interests and my hobbies. So I changed that to Karcher Makes. So when I started this channel, I wanted to have a similar name that people could link those two things together. So it was really just out of sheer laziness that it's the same as my Instagram handle, and I didn't want to come up with a new name, and I didn't want it to be something like super generic that, you know, a lot of other people use kind of the same similar words. And, you know, my last name I feel like is sort of unique, although I do have to pronounce it for a lot of people. My first name too, Andrea, is a very sort of difficult name to pronounce because there's so many correct ways to pronounce it. So I've spent my life spelling and saying my name to people. But in any case, so the reason why it's called Karcher Makes is because that's my Instagram handle and Karcher is my last name. Now, I could have picked like, you know, Andrea Makes or Andrea Knits or something like that. They weren't available. And in my job, I work a corporate job, and it is a male-dominated field. So a lot of people just go by their last name, and most people at work know me by my last name. So it just kind of fit. I also refer to myself in the third person a lot by my last name, Karcher. So you'll hear me say that too sometimes, but that's the story behind the name of the channel, Karcher Makes. Nothing fancy, nothing crazy, just, you know, I wanted something similar to my Instagram, and it was slim pickings by the time I got around to doing that. Before I go to the next question, I should probably tell you what I'm working on here. I did show these in the last video, last normal sit-down video that I did. This is Fiber Nymph Dye Works. It is the Warm Hug Club from, this is actually from April. I think I said May in the last video, but it is actually April. And it's called Stretch Yourself. And it is just these really pretty bright colors with like a darker purple included. And this is DK weight, and I'm using size 2.5, which is what? 2.75? No. These are size 2. Size 2 needles, 2.75 millimeter, and I'm doing 56 stitches. I think I still need to tweak my recipe for DK weight socks down to maybe 52 stitches, because even at this gauge, they're still a little kind of loose and baggy. And I'm keeping them here in my Shannon's Fun Bags possum bag. And the other sock is already done. These work up so fast. DK weight socks. I love DK weight socks. You'll see these better, and this should be done by the next regular sit-down video, but look how fun these are. Look at these. I love stripes that are not consistent. I just think it adds interest to the sock, but that's what I'm working on. And before we continue with the questions, leave a comment below. What are you working on? What is your current whip. I have one that I'm about to start, and I'm just looking for some inspiration. So let's have that conversation down below. Leave a comment. What are you working on? And I'm going to continue with these socks while we chat. Okay, next question. How long have you been knitting and crocheting? So specifically crochet, I've been crocheting longer than I've been knitting. I learned to crochet in 2006. I had just finished my master's degree and I needed something creative that didn't require a bunch of brain power and math and writing essays. So my sister, who is 16 years older than me, she was a big crocheter in her late 20s, early 30s, and I was always kind of fascinated by it. She actually tried to teach me how to crochet when I was like 13, and I could make a chain. I could make a lot of chains, but I never really understood or got kind of the rest of it beyond that. So I kind of didn't think about it for a while. And then when I finished my master's degree program and needed something creative to kind of get into, I was like, you know what? I'm going to learn how to crochet. So I went to my local AC Moore. I bought Red Heart Super Saver yarn. Love it. And I bought a Teach Yourself to Crochet book and a hook. And the rest is history. I taught myself from that book, and it was challenging. This was before, YouTube was even really a thing, and I really relied heavily on the book and the pictures and the instructions there. I'm very much a visual learner. Learning from books isn't really my sweet spot, but I got through it. I learned how to do granny squares. I learned how to do tops. I learned how to do scarves, shawls, you name it. I was full in on crochet for a while. So 2006, that would be, that's almost 20 years ago, 19 years ago, I learned to crochet. For knitting, in 2014, so what's that, 11 years ago, almost 11 years ago, the local yarn store where I used to live in Maryland moved locations. And I had been there once and picked up some yarn for a crochet project. And when they moved, they had like an open house celebration, grand opening situation. So obviously I went down there and so I asked them, I was like, I think I really want to learn how to make socks, but I'm a crocheter and I don't know how to knit. So they gave me some encouragement. They said, you know what, knitting's really not that difficult. And, we do offer classes if, you need the support and want to learn more about it. So I went home and I pulled out some old knitting needles. They may have been from my mom. I don't even remember where they came from. And some cotton yarn. And at this point, YouTube was like a thing. I pulled up YouTube and I found a video from Stacey Perry of Very Pink Knits and just sat down and followed her directions. And I made basically a swatch. It was a garter stitch square. And I wish I kind of still had it. I threw it away. I kind of wish I just had it as a memory, but I made a garter stitch square, and then at the very end, I was like, I thought knitting made little V's, and this doesn't look like that. So I was very confused at first as to why my knitting didn't look like what we kind of traditionally think of as knitting with stockinette. So I watched more videos and then I was like, oh, it's a totally different stitch pattern. Now I got to learn how to purl because obviously this is flat. And I watched another Stacey Perry video and then I learned how to knit. Not long after that, the yarn store had classes for knitting socks and I immediately signed up. I took the sock class. We made a DK weight pair of socks, which I still have, by the way, and they held up fantastically. But what's funny is the yarn that they had us, we could buy any yarn we wanted. Like, they didn't care what yarn we bought, but the yarn she recommended was this trekking 6-ply DK weight sock yarn. So wool and nylon. And it was $30. And y'all, I about fell out when I saw the price. Now I'm like, oh, $30 for a skein of yarn, no big deal. How many of them can I buy? But as a brand new knitter who was used to like Red Heart Super Saver from my crochet days, that was a shock. So yes, I've been knitting for 10 years, 11 years, and then crocheting for much longer. Next question. Did you teach yourself to knit and spin? And so I just talked about my experience learning how to knit, so I won't repeat that. For spinning, yes, and sort of no. So with spinning, this is another story, and it also includes Maryland Alpaca Festival. So we went to the Maryland Alpaca Festival in 2015. I had back issues at that time, and I was scheduled for surgery at the end of November and just needed to get out of the house and do something that didn't require me sitting, because with my back issues, I could not sit. So we go to the Alpaca Festival, and there's a woman there who is spinning on like a traditional spinning wheel. And she had an Angora rabbit in her lap, and she was just plucking the fibers from the rabbit and spinning them. And I was so fascinated by this. I probably stood there and watched her for, I don't even know, 30 minutes. It was crazy. The bunny was so cute. She showed me the yarn she was making, and like my mind was blown, and I was very intrigued by it. So my boyfriend was with me, and he's literally my biggest supporter, but also the worst enabler. He was like, oh, you should get a rabbit. You should get a spinning wheel. You should be a spinner. You could make all your own yarn. You don't have to buy yarn. You can make your own yarn. And I was like, I definitely don't need a rabbit, but I'm intrigued by the spinning. So went home and ordered a Learn to Spin kit off of Etsy. And I don't even remember the seller that I got it from, but it was a spindle and some fiber. And I tried to teach myself how to spin on that spindle, and I just never got it. To this day, I am terrible at spindle spinning. And I was like, this isn't as fun as I thought it was going to be. Maybe it's just because I'm doing a spindle and not a wheel like that woman had. And lo and behold, Christmas rolls around, and my boyfriend had gotten me a spinning wheel. And it's actually this one right here. It's an Ashford Kiwi 2, I think. I think they've since came out with a new model. But he got me the spinning wheel. He put it together for me. At this point, my back surgery was over, and I was feeling better, and I could sit again. So I actually went to YouTube, and then I also went to Craftsy and found some spinning videos, and I kind of taught myself. I did take one class at the local yarn store for spinning, but the other people in the class were so new to it, like they had never even touched a spinning wheel before, so they kind of like held the instructor back. So I just kind of did my own thing, and I still do have my first hand spun skein of yarn, and it is a mess, but I've really learned from just other YouTube videos. I mean, YouTube is such a great resource. If you want to learn about anything, literally anything, there's a YouTube video for it. So highly recommend. But I kind of taught myself to spin from basically YouTube and Craftsy. Now, here's the thing with Craftsy. I know I'm mentioning it. I do not recommend. I feel like their business practices are predatory, and when you sign up for the subscription, they're real shady about canceling it when the time comes, and I've heard numerous people say that they continue to charge their credit card despite the fact. So I personally wouldn't give them money. I would not give them my credit card. I actually it was like a free trial that did not require me to put a credit card in when I did it. I would not give them my credit card information, just FYI. Okay, next question. More knitting questions. You guys really wanted to know about the knitting stuff. Do you work full time, and how do you find time to knit? So yes, I do work full time. I do work from home, and actually where I am sitting right now, like facing this way, where you can't see, that is my work desk. This is my work background. And when I have to go on video, people are always intrigued by the yarn stuff. So that's a good kind of conversation starter. But I do work full time. I do work from home. And normally I will knit a little bit in the mornings with my coffee. And then very rarely do I have time to knit like during the day while I'm working. But very occasionally I'll have to get in a meeting where it's like an hour-long conversation that really has nothing to do with me. So in those cases where I know I'm not required to add input or receive input, I'll pick up maybe a sock or something and just knit along while I'm listening. It really does help focus. I'm very much a fidgety person, and it helps me focus during stuff like that where I kind of know I don't want to pay attention, but I have to because I'm there and I need to. But for the most part, most of my knitting happens either before work or after work. I've mentioned here before, I don't have kids, so I don't have other people requiring large chunks of my time. My time is pretty much my time. What I want to do is what I want to do. And if I want to sit there and knit, I'll sit there and knit. My boyfriend has his own set of hobbies. He loves video games. He likes playing golf. And we're very sort of compatible that way. He'll sit there and do his thing. I'll sit there and do my thing in parallel. I think they call that parallel play. Somebody had just talked about that on a podcast, and I don't remember who it was, but basically we're just kind of sitting there together, being together, enjoying each other's company while also enjoying our own kind of hobbies. This is so good, y'all. I've never tried the peach mango before. I normally get, it's like a pineapple mandarin or something. I don't remember, but I tried the peach mango this time. It's really delicious. Perfect for summer. Okay, next question. This one made me laugh. And then this actually came from somebody I'm friends with in real life who is not in the knitting community. What is your favorite place to knit or crochet, and why is it Orioles games? So yes, I do enjoy knitting at baseball, Jen. Honestly, I haven't been to a lot of Orioles games lately. I went to one last year and I've been to one this year, and they've really started cracking down on like the stadium bag policies. So the last time I went, I did have knitting with me, and they got kind of annoyed at the fact that I had metal needles. They did let me in, and I did take them in, but they were like, don't bring these again. So probably my days of knitting at baseball games is over. We are going to, and I don't know if it's a minor league game, an Atlantic League game that's like not the MLB, but somehow related. We are going to a game tomorrow. It's the Hagerstown Flying Boxcars, and I'm really excited to go kind of check out a smaller stadium, smaller game. I'm probably not going to bother taking my knitting there because, well, they will probably get annoyed if I have metal things in my purse. But anyway, back to the question. Where's my favorite place to knit besides baseball games? Honestly, my favorite place to knit is in my kitchen. So in my kitchen, I have a, island bar type situation. It's like bi-level, so it's higher on this side than that side. And I have my little stool there, and I have my iPad. I have my knitting, I have my coffee, and I just really enjoy sitting there knitting away in the mornings before work, and then on the weekends before we have to like actually get up and like do things. I really enjoy sitting there knitting. I also like sitting on my back patio and knitting. It's this weather this year, I haven't done it once yet. So the past few weeks have been really rainy and kind of unseasonably cold. And then now that it's stopped raining, it's now unseasonably hot and the heat index is in the hundreds. So I guess I won't be getting any patio knitting anytime soon. So yeah, my kitchen and my patio are really my two favorite places to knit. I will also knit anywhere and everywhere. So last week for Knit in Public Day, we went out to a cafe for dinner and I was sitting there knitting and got some comments from people. And I made an Instagram post, and like I mentioned, I'm also Karcher Makes on Instagram if you want to follow me there. I got some comments from people about it, but every day is Knit in Public Day for me. I take it everywhere I go, so I don't care what people think. And some people, most people are kind of more curious about it and want to ask me like, hey, what are you making? Is that a sock for a baby? No, it's a sock for me. Like, look how big that is. That would never fit a baby. Is that a sweater? What are you making? Is that a blanket? So people are just naturally curious about it, and I appreciate when they ask questions versus just sit there and like, why does she have yarn at the bar? Because this is who I am as a person, and I'll be glad to tell you about it if you come over and ask me. Next question. What is your favorite thing that you have ever knit? And I am very much a victim of recency bias, and everything I make is my new favorite thing ever. But I really thought about this question long and hard, and if I had to pick one thing, just one thing, and not the most recent thing that I'm working on either, what would it be? And I kind of settled in on, and I don't know. Tell me in the comments below if you're surprised by this choice. It's the End Times cardigan. This has to be it. I'm not sure I can give any other answer besides this. This was very much, I'll show you the back here. This was very much a labor of love. 553 different colors. 276 different squares, plus borders, plus the collar, the front placket, the sleeves, all that. This has to be it. I love it so much. And apparently everybody else loved it, because when I wore this to Maryland Sheep and Wool, like I mentioned in that video, I got stopped by probably 1,000 people. And I'm not exaggerating. It was literally probably 1,000 people. Just beautiful, all hand-dyed yarns, fingering weight, size US2 needles. Yes, I'm a glutton for punishment. And it took me 11 months to make. But this is probably my magnum opus project. This is my heirloom. This is my, I don't know who's gonna get this in my will, but they better appreciate it project. Okay, next. Is there a story behind your learning to weave? And sort of, but not really. In 2015, I think, 2015, pretty sure, we went on a trip to Italy, and one of the places we visited was called Orvieto, and it was a very small town at the top of a mountain, and honestly, it was kind of tourist trappy a little bit, like all of the little shops. The tour guides took us through certain ones, and There was tons of shops there, but one of the shops, the woman had numerous floor looms, and she was weaving cashmere scarves, wraps, shawls, that kind of thing, and selling them. And at the time, and again, hindsight's 2020, at the time, I looked at one of those, and for a scarf, it would have been, I think, $190. And I was like, oh my gosh, like equivalent. Obviously, it was in euro, but the equivalent would have been $190 US. And I was like, I can't pay that much for a scarf. That's just so much money. And, it's really beautiful and it's handmade and she's showing me how she does it. But I can't spend that amount of money on a scarf. Now, 10 years later, here we are. But it really kind of got me intrigued about weaving as a craft. And I'm not sure when. I think it was during the Pannekuchen. I ran across some videos on YouTube for rigid heddle weaving. So I started with a rigid heddle loom. And, with a rigid heddle loom, you can primarily do plain weave, over, under. And you can do more kind of fancy stuff. You can get a second heddle. For the model that I have, it supports 2 heddles. So you can get a little fancier with the designs, but you're kind of limited in what you can do. And I used that for 2 years probably, making various things, and just kind of outgrew it, I think. Although I still kind of want to start something on it. I can still do lightly beaten projects on it that on my floor loom it beats too hard for. Anyway, that's a whole other topic. So it kind of intrigued me to learn more about weaving. And when Redstone Glen had beginning weaving classes open up, I signed up for one of those, and I took the class with Tom Nisley, his daughter Sarah, and it was amazing, and I fell in love with it. It was a week-long class, and I just wanted to learn more about it, and I ended up buying a loom. So that's how I became a weaver as well. I don't dedicate as much time as I would like to it. That's one of my retirement dreams, is to have all the time I want to make whatever I want, however I want. And, I just have to be patient for a few more years and get there. Next question. Have you ever been on a knitting tour to Scotland or Ireland or any other country? I just added that last piece in there. To any country? No, I've never been on a knitting tour to anywhere. And I know Rachel is Knitting just had one to Scotland, maybe? Maybe it was Ireland. I don't remember. But I would love to go on one of those tours. Also, Redstone Glen, like I mentioned, they also have like textile tours, weaving tours, Japan, Scotland, all over the place. I would love to go to one of those. I haven't yet. They are very pricey. They're very expensive. I just haven't kind of worked it into the budget yet, but I would really, really like to do that. Now, I have gone on cruises, and just regular cruises, and we did go to Alaska, and I kind of made it into a knitting tour. Again, my boyfriend is so patient and lovely about this kind of stuff. But in Alaska, the first time we went, I went to every yarn store in every port that we were in, and we were in 3, I think, different ports. So I kind of made it a knitting tour. That works, right? Okay, so let's talk about some other types of questions. So I think that's most of the knitting and kind of crafty related questions. Let's get into some other ones. So this one came from my friend Patty, who I don't think watches YouTube, but she did submit a question on my Instagram. What is your favorite book that you've read so far this year? And I actually haven't read too many books this year. I love reading. As a child, I was a very avid reader, but these days I usually only read like right before bed. Like I get into bed, I get my Kindle, I read some pages, maybe a chapter, and then I put it down and go to sleep. But I do try to read like 20 books a year if I can. I think I'm way off the pace this year for that. But as far as my favorite book so far this year, and this is gonna sound corny. I really think it's gonna be Let Them by Mel Robbins. The concept of the book is exactly what it sounds like. Like, let people do what they're gonna do. You can't control people. But it goes a little bit more into the psychology of that and how you can help regulate your own kind of reactions to people doing things that you don't necessarily like or agree with. And, you know, in my job, it's very stressful. And again, I deal with a lot of men as the only woman in most meetings that I'm in. I'm the only woman. So I really enjoyed that book. The book itself was kind of repetitive. Like, I feel like it could have been half the length that it was. But as far as like the core messaging of the book and what it really was about and how it really helped me apply those things to my life, especially in my career, A+, no complaints. I do know Mel Robbins has a podcast as well. I've not listened to it yet. It's on my list of things to do at some point in my life, is to pull up her podcast and give it a listen. But the theory and the concept of it is pretty powerful, and I really enjoyed it. Next question. What do you like to watch on TV? And I know a lot of podcasters, knitters, people who talk about crafts on YouTube also like to talk about what they read, what they watch. That's kind of part of the, I feel like, standard format of these things. But I usually don't talk about it because what I like is usually not what other people like, and I don't think y'all want to hear about it. But my favorite things to watch on TV is garbage reality television. Bravo, like anything on Bravo, I will watch. Although I'm really far behind on kind of the latest seasons of stuff. But anything on Bravo, like, I will take it. My all-time favorite TV show ever, like in the history of TV shows, and you guys are going to be like, girl, you're crazy, is Big Brother. I love the dynamic of people, strangers, coming together and the forced interaction that has to happen. Hopefully that makes sense. It's kind of like, I kind of equate it to like work life, right? Where, you know, you're with these people, you don't necessarily want to be friends with them, but you kind of have to get along for the greater good of whatever the goal is. And, you know, in work case, the goal is work. In other cases, like on Big Brother, they have to do challenges and they make alliances, and it's kind of like Survivor. And I know a lot of people watch Survivor, but it's sort of like that, but just less physical, and they actually live in a house and not on a beach somewhere. So yeah, that's why I don't talk about TV in my podcast episodes, because it's hot garbage and I don't think a lot of people watch that. What I will say is, for books and TV watching, movies, I'm not a big movie person. I've kind of got my wheelhouse of movies, and that's what I like. But I know, like, science fiction, fantasy, romantasy, these are all like really super popular things right now, and those aren't my jam. I don't love science fiction. I don't love fantasy. I like a rom-com. I like a documentary, but, you know, a drama, a murder mystery, those kind of things. But, you know, science fiction, fantasy, that's not really my jam. Like anything with dragons, it's fine. Look, if you like it, you like it. Watch it. Next up, and I swear we're almost done. We're almost done with the questions, and then we're going to get into the giveaway. So a few more questions left. And I got to put my knitting down for this one. And I'm going to take a sip. Take a sip. So I get this question a lot, mostly in real life. But I was not shocked when it came through my Instagram when I posted the little story asking for questions. Were you in a fire? Are your hands scarred from fire? Are you a burn victim? No. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So you can kind of see on here, my skin is 2 different colors. It's vitiligo. I have vitiligo. It's not painful. It doesn't hurt. My melanin is just very confused, and I'm slowly turning whiter than I already was. This is a genetic thing. I was blessed with this from my mother. Her brothers and father also had it. And it's just slowly progressing. It started out on my fingertips, and now it's just working its way down on both hands. It's also on my face, but because I put a lot of sunblock on my face, it doesn't have as much contrast, and it's not as noticeable. It's on my legs, it's on my feet, it's kind of everywhere. So yeah, a lot of people ask about it. It doesn't hurt, it doesn't bother me. I'm actually, according to my doctor, what they've told me, and obviously they're the doctor, I trust them, I'm not fact checking this, but what they've told me is that it actually makes me less susceptible to skin cancer because the melanin cells are basically dying off, and, you know, they're not going to be there to be cancerous. Now, is that true? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe they're just trying to make me feel better. But in any case, it's vitiligo, and it is what it is. I don't take medicine for it, and it's fine. So the next question is, I'll say it's related. It's sort of related. Are your nails fake? And they do need to be redone, but they are not fake. These are my nails. And what I have them do, and I just started this in January as part of my self-care goals that I'm trying to work on. I started getting regular manicures, and what I get is it's a hybrid gel product that they put over top of my nails. My natural nails are very thin, weak, brittle, and they peel. So if I don't have anything on them, they don't grow past my fingertips. So I started having this like gel overlay added to them. So these are my real nails. It just has like this gel overlay that makes them stronger, and then, you know, they paint them fun colors like this super fun chrome pink, which I love, by the way. So yeah, they're my nails. They're mine. They're mine. They're not fake. They're just overlay so that they actually grow. Next question. Are your Yorkies siblings? Well, they're adopted siblings because I'm their adopted mom, and their brother and sister because I adopted them both, but they are not genetically siblings. They came from like the same family, and they have the same grandfather, but they have different parents. So they are not siblings. They are not biological siblings, but they are brother and sister because I'm their mommy, and, you know, I adopted both of them. And Ginger is going to be, let me think, how old is Ginger this year? She will be 10 this year, and Marcus is 6. But they are very cute, and I love them very much. And, you know, they're just such a joy to have, little dogs. Okay, last question. This was long. We've been going a while. Last question, and this is also not crafty related. And this is from a friend of mine who also does not watch this, but she submitted a question, so I'm going to answer it. Who is your second favorite new kid. So, for those of you who don't know, and I'm gonna see if I can show this without totally messing up my situation here. Those Funko Pops are New Kids on the Block Funko Pops. And I have seen New Kids on the Block with my friend Kim. I've lost count. I don't even know how many times. 10, 15, 20 maybe. I don't know. And we're going to go see them again in Vegas this fall. So New Kids on the Block is doing a residency in Vegas at Park MGM. So, of course, we have to go see them. But my second favorite new kid, now my favorite new kid is Jordan Knight. My 12-year-old self still loves him very much. My second favorite new kid would be his brother, John. And you guys may know him of HGTV fame. He does Rock the Block, Farmhouse Fixer. There was a camping one where they made like camping cabins. But I just love them. I was obsessed with them as a child when I was 12 years old. And when they reunited in, what year was it? I don't even know, 2008 maybe? When they reunited, that's actually how Kim and I got close. We worked together, and just one day at the water cooler, she happened to mention, hey, what do you think about this New Kids on the Block reunion? And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to go. And she's like, let's go. And then we did it, and then we just keep doing it. We've seen them so many times. And it's just, life's too short. Find something that you love and just embrace it. Who cares what people think? Do you think I care that people think I'm crazy for liking a boy band and I'm pushing 50? No, I don't care. It's what I like. Okay, y'all. So that is all of the questions. Thank you so much to everybody who submitted one. Thank you for taking that time. If you have a question that I didn't answer, go ahead and leave it below, and I'll maybe start including some Q&A in future episodes. I can absolutely do that if you have any questions. Let's talk about the giveaway. Now, with the whole way the mail and tariffs and like all of that mess is working right now, I don't want to deal with mailing things to anybody because quite frankly, I can't be guaranteed that you'll ever see it. And I also don't want to get into a situation where I'm mailing something and you have to pay money to get it. I'm going to try to avoid that. So what we're going to do is you will need to be a subscriber of this channel. So click that subscribe button. I would like you to like this video, which you're going to do anyway, because I know you loved it. And leave a comment below. And your comment can be about what you were working on while we were knitting and chatting today through these questions. It can be about other questions that you have that I didn't answer. Feel free to ask those. Or it can just be about maybe something you're planning to make. Let's have that conversation in the comments below. I will choose a couple. I don't know how many. It depends on how I feel. I will choose a couple winners from those comments, and I will be checking if you subscribe and like and all of that stuff. So please make sure you follow that. And then, I will pick a couple winners, and the way you will know you win, let's talk about this for a second. The way that you will be notified of winning is I will say your username in a future video, maybe in a couple weeks. I'll give you guys 2 weeks to complete the tasks, but I will make a video and I will say your name in the video, and then I will give you instructions on how to contact me to get your pattern prizes. I am very, very cautious about scammers, and you say the word giveaway in a video, and like the bots and the AI algorithms and all of that stuff, the little AI bots, they pick that up and then they try to come scam people, and I don't want you to be scammed. So I will be moderating the comments heavily to kick out any of those bots that come in and try to like fool you into thinking you won something. And then I will, like I said, I will make a video. I will literally say your name and give you the instructions on how to contact me on how to get your prize. Do not be scammed. Do not give people your personal information ever with this or anything else for that matter. Just ignore it. I will moderate as much as I can to kick the bots out, and we can go from there. So thank you so much for being a part of my first Knit and Chat and coming along this ride with me to 1,000 subscribers. If you are one of the OGs, please know I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody. Just thank you for coming back week after week to hear me ramble on about all of the things that I like making, that I want to make, that I probably maybe failed at making. More on that later. And I just truly appreciate you for being here and being a part of this community that we're building. So thank you so much. And until next time, happy making.